Today, we want to talk about
graphic design. I know those two words put together can cause our anxiety levels to rise depending on how familiar you feel with various tools. You're starting to think Photoshop. How in the world am I going to use that? You're starting to think, what about getting things to print versus getting things onto online? Various aspect ratios. It can be a mess.
Yeah, listen, most of us pastors would just grab something off Google, a picture, and then put it into and then try to print that thing, and then it comes out, and it's all pixelated, it's all like squarey and stuff, blurry. Remember that? No longer do you have to go through that. No longer do you need to know Photoshop. No longer do you need a print shop of any sort. You don't need to do that. All we need to do is jump on to a web tool called Canva, and you can find that at canva.com.
Wait, your seminary didn't have graphic design?
If you're a single pastor church, or if you have a smaller staff, or you don't have the resources to create great designs, this is a great way to do it. And guess how much it costs?
It's free!
Pastors love that word.
That is the best word in the world. And even there are some paid graphics and features. Yeah. There are various tiers. But the other thing, you can actually get even more free if you just register your church as a nonprofit on Canva.
Yeah.
And you go through their process, and after a little while, you'll hear back from them, and you'll be totally free.
Now, if you don't register a nonprofit as a church, and if you find that the free version doesn't have enough tools for you, which, by the way, they will, especially if you're beginning at this, they're going to have all the tools you need for free. But if you want the pro version, some of us have that, it's about $120 a year, which, if you think about it,
less than the price of Netflix these days.
Absolutely.
So, this is so easy, Icky, that I have a 12-year-old, and for a couple years now, she has been using Canva and just making little graphics for her homework and things of that nature. And now she's working and trying to put teaching materials together for my wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the real question is, can someone like your father use it?
John Chris?
Hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and we've got someone behind the computer right now. Our DMSN partner, Lauren, is actually going to take you through and show you a couple tutorials on quickly how to make a church bulletin and or a graphics that you could use for social media or a poster if you wanted to.
So right now we are on the Canva homepage. What you'll see is a few of the examples of designs you can create. You'll see videos, Instagram posts, Facebook posts. These are all templates of something that you can create on Canva. You can type in at the very top if you want to find a certain type of design really quickly. So what we're gonna look for is we're gonna want to create a church bulletin. That's the first example we're gonna look at. What do you guys think about church bulletins?
Oh, I hate them. I mean, I love them. They're my favorite thing ever.
Right? They take forever. You gotta make sure you look up the sunset times, and you gotta look up the they can be complicated. Is that literally something you can search in Canva?
Canva, I can almost guarantee, is going to have a template for what you want, but maybe I searched the wrong keyword, right? I found that out. So what about program? I looked up program. So there's a bunch of different programs here. Nice. There is a church program, right? So that's something that I found. So don't be discouraged if you search it and it's just like, oh, there's no template for what you want. Try a couple different keywords, because Canva is usually going to have something that you can fit into what you want. So church program is going to be what you're going to want to use for something like this.
Hey, Lauren.
Yes.
Did you have to sign up for it or log in, or can they just go there and do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just go there and do that. So over here, you'll see there's the option to log in or sign up, which indicates I'm actually not logged in right now. So you can just go directly to canva.com, no login, no sign up, and you can do that. So I clicked on church program. It took me over to this next tab that is the church program template. So that means that it's a specific size, and it has some templates over on the side that will give you some design options. And if you just hold your clicker over the different options, it'll show you multiple pages, right? And you can print multiple pages as maybe a fold or double-sided, something like that. Notice that again, I'm still not signed in, right? So if you want to save it, you'll have to sign in, create an account, and sign up. I'm going to swap over to another tab where I chose a bulletin template that I really liked. So I just selected one from the side, right? So I scrolled down here. You can look at all the different options and hover over them, see what the second page looks like, and go down like this. This is the one that I chose. This one here that says Praise the Lord on the front. It's got the date,
Praise the Lord.
the church name. You can put whatever you want, right? We put all kinds of interesting stuff on the front of our programs.
Why don't you type something in for us, Lauren?
Sure. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna double click, right? So I just double clicked inside that box there and it selected everything for me. So what you're gonna do is just type anything. So we've got Praise the Lord. If you wanna say Happy Sabbath. Uh-oh, what happens? It got cut off there, right? So that doesn't look too good when we type that in. So just go right over here to this vertical line, this little gray handler here. Click your mouse and hold it and pull it over. And then it makes it a little bit bigger and it fits in there. Or you can double click inside again or select all on your keyboard. And then you can just go and up here, you can change the font size if you want, and that will make it fit as well. So let's say we want to do like 80 because you didn't like that. It makes it a little bit smaller.
While Lauren is doing that, I just want you to think about this because you know probably as much as we do how much work that actually takes if you're trying to use Word.
Oh yeah.
The sizing, the removing the letters, all this. In Canva, they're resizing, they're readjusting the letters, the word for you to fit exactly the format you need it to fit without you having to do all that extra work, people. How many times have you had to push the space bar? A million times to get something in the right place, right? No longer.
Yeah, and you can drag that, right? Anywhere you want on that page.
Get it?
Yeah, definitely. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm gonna click on it and hold it down, and then I'm gonna hold my shift key on my keyboard so I can keep it right in the center there without going side to side. And there you go. So I just moved it down a little bit. How easy is that, right? Like Icky was saying, you press spacebar a bunch of times in other programs and then it's still not exactly where you want it, but it's good enough. But here, you can move it anywhere. And if you wanted to move it side to side, I'm just gonna make this fit. If you wanted to move it side to side, you can move it anywhere you want. You can just do, if you wanted it like at the top instead, it does have these little pink guidelines that kind of show you where your margins are. You can do that if you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and do Command Z so I can undo and go back to what I had. Let me show you what it looks like to change the image. This is a really fun part. So up here in the top, you'll see this sidebar, right? So the next thing, we're on templates right now. The next thing is elements, which you've got all your different shapes and different things like this here. And then uploads is where you can upload a picture from your own computer. You can upload those pictures right here onto your own account. Now,
your church may not have a reverse spotlight with some fake smoke like that one.
Maybe you guys don't quite have that, but maybe you want to go ahead and choose a photo. Maybe you don't have any photos. This is really awesome.
Yes.
I love this part. So you can go ahead and you can just search the photos. So we're gonna type up there in that search bar. Let's say we want to see a Bible, because that's really simple and that's fitting for what we want to do. So you have all these photos, right?
Now, Lauren, these photos are in Canva, so like we don't have to go to Google or any other place?
No, you don't have to go anywhere else. You just go on this one tab right here and it's encompassing. So one thing that I want to point out, two things actually. So one thing, if you go to Google, one thing that you're gonna find is that the photos that you find, number one, like Icky said, they're not great quality, but number two, they 99% of the time will not have permissions. So taking photos out of Google can also have other consequences if you pull something copyrighted by accident. These photos are available to use. These photos are not gonna give you any trouble with copyright or anything. They're made just for people like you doing exactly what you're doing on here. So that's gonna be really awesome. Now, one thing I wanna draw your attention to as I'm searching for a good photo for my bulletin is if you see these photos that have a little orange crown in the corner, you'll see that those are pro. So if you do have a free account, just know that those photos, you can buy them one at a time. You don't have to upgrade to pro for $120 a year. But each of these photos are gonna be $1. So if you wanna add a photo, say, I don't wanna upgrade to pro right now, but I do wanna use a pro photo, you can just get that photo for $1 and pay for it. So that's something that you can do as well. Let me just show you. If you drag that in, you'll find, take that photo, drag it right in there. You will have a watermark on it until you pay that $1. So you'll notice that. But see how easy that was to do. You can
see what it looks like before you choose to make that purchase, which is so advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to have any of that guesswork or pay for a photo and say, well, that's unfortunate because I ended up not liking how it looked. But yeah, absolutely.
Also notice how as Lauren pulled the picture and dropped it into her scene, it automatically sized it out to fit the space. I don't know how often you've had to pull a picture from someplace and then try to like stretch it, and then it's all stretched funny and it doesn't look right. This will put in the right resolution, and then you can still move the picture inside, right, Lauren?
Yeah. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So let's say we don't want to buy a photo today. We want to be as simple and effective as possible. So let's take this photo right here. Let's say it's almost fall. Let's take that photo. Let's say, okay, we like how this looks. We want to have a fall theme, let's say, for that day. So you have this photo, but you're noticing that the text is kind of overlapping the white right here in the corner. It doesn't look too good. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna double click. You can see the whole photo. So that's not just what's cropped on your screen. This is the whole photo. So if you scroll your screen, you can actually change the size of that photo any way you want. And then you can take your little cursor here and you can go ahead and drag it anywhere you want.
Ooh.
So super, super easy. Let's say you just want that corner of the Bible coming in right there. Now, you're seeing there's a little bit of light color behind your words. Another really cool feature in Canva is you've got your text here. Watch what we're gonna do here. So you can go up to the effects bar here on the top, right? Click on that, and you have these effects that you can do with your text. So this is gonna be really helpful. So you can do, this lift one is gonna be kind of cool. So it darkens it just automatically behind your text, right? And you can make that a little bit more intense so your text really pops out. So see how easy that was? You can go ahead and change these too. So let's say you want to make it hollow, perhaps for a different design that would be easy. But you can do different types of, you can do a shadow. You can change the color of your shadow. Let's say you want to make it blue. You want to make it more blurry. You can do all kinds of stuff, right? We're going to stick with lift. We're going to go all the way up with the intensity. Another thing you might want to take a look at is you can just select, this is the background. This orange, brown, yellow bar that you see here, that's actually the background. Your photo is cropped up, see? So your photo is actually cropped up. So this bar here is the background of your page. So you can just click anywhere in that orange. You can go up here and you can see any color you want. So let's say we want to make it blue. Just click on it, easy as that.
Like that.
It just changes easy as that. And you have any of these colors. Let's say up here, you want to change that to a different color. Right up here, this add new color is going to give you the option. Let's say you want to do like a teal, make it a little bit more blue. And that's a little bit too dark, so make it a little bit lighter. And it changes as you go, so you can kind of see, right? So let's say we like that teal color, and there you go. And then you say, well, I guess I really do want these to match. So you can click in here, click on that photo again, and there you go.
Look at that, and the colors match exactly.
You can add your own brand colors, and you'll have those here. And then it'll be as simple as just going and clicking on the color every time you want to customize your design.
That's great.
Lauren, with the remainder of our time,
Sure.
can you show us maybe another graphic?
Yeah, so one of the things maybe that you may do on top of a bulletin is maybe like social media posts. Maybe you want to share some encouragement, the Bible verse or something like that you're doing for the week.
Let's go over to our first page, right? We searched church program. So we were able to find what we wanted there. Let's say we want to make a social media post. You can just go right to this Instagram post box, click on that, and it'll open a square Instagram graphic for you. And you've got all of these templates, right? You've got all these types of different information templates. But I went ahead and searched in the search bar. I searched quote, because that's going to work with our Bible verse. So I searched quote. There's all kinds, you'll see a little bit more of these prime or pro orange crowns
quotes
here.
From Icky Timey in there now?
That's right. That is right. But there are a few free ones here. So I took the time to go through and I found one I think will work for us. So I'm going to swap over to that screen. I found one earlier that I think we can use this one. So you've got your text here and you've got the bottom part for your quote or verse, but the background on this template is already pro, right? So let's say we want to go to our photos again. And let's say we want to put some clouds in the background. So let's say we want to do something basic like that. Let's pull this over, drop it right on in. Let's see how easy that is. So you have something like that. Now, what I did was I opened up another tab on Bible.com, and we're gonna go ahead and put a Bible verse, John 3:16, right in here. So you can go on your other tab, copy it, and you can choose whatever version you want right here. And you can just copy over the text, and then we can go in here and double click just like before, and then Command V or Control V and paste it.
Wow. So those words, that quote was not static. Like it wasn't like a PDF where you couldn't move any letters. All of it actually is interchangeable.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go take one step back and undo. You can actually do that right up here with this little arrow. If I undo, that's what we started with. But this is a space that you can work with. This is just an idea starting point, right? So I'm gonna go forward with this arrow right here, redo what I did. Now again, it's kind of big. It's a little bit hard to read if you notice. So we like that text, but let's see if we can do something simple. Let's just go here. On my recently used, I've got some simple fonts, some sans serif fonts. So let's choose that. It's kind of easier to read, but it's also kind of big, right? So you can click right there on the font size, not too hard, but you can click on the font size. And then let's see, maybe 24. No, that's a little bit too small. So let's see, you can go any size up you want, and you can just test out, and it's automatically gonna size, right? So you can play around with it as much as you want, and you've got your text right there. And then here, you don't have to copy and paste. You can just type in on your keyboard, John 3:16, if you wanna put the version in there, type that in. And now this is just working with the template as it is, right? But maybe you wanna do something different. Let's change this graphic in the back, drop another one in there, right? It's kind of hard to read, so let's go over here to Elements. Elements is a really fun area to play around. So if you go to the lines and shapes, sometimes these can be helpful. Let's see if you wanna put something behind it. Let's say you wanna put this circle. We just clicked on it. It dropped it right in. Let's say we wanna pull this. And notice that I'm moving this around, but it's staying proportionate. So that's super helpful. So you can make that as big as you want. Change the color. Let's say we want like a dark blue. A really cool feature of Canva is that it takes colors that are in parts of your picture. So like this dark blue is like up here. So if you take this, it's automatically gonna like look really good with your picture already.
Very cool.
So let's touch this and then position. That's the position where your element, which is your text, is in your layers. So let's say it's kind of stuck behind this circle. So if we click forward, brings it forward. So that's pretty easy. So let's make it one step smaller, and let's go to our colors and make it white instead.
Ooh.
There's we
the text.
go. And then we can just make this a little smaller. You can do more with it and kind of like space it and stuff like that. But you can play around with it. And then these kind of dotted purple pink lines will show you that it's centered in the circle, right? And then you can just shift and click and text, select both, and then get that line, that
Both
straight
layers.
line there.
And whether
Both
it's
layers.
Canva or Photoshop or any graphics program, you got to imagine that you're working in layers. That's a
Yes.
real key, that there's a background layer and then a layer in front of that and in front of that and in front of that. And they're pliable. You can put them in any order in order to make the graphic.
Yes, good tip. Definitely. So that's going to work in any program. So just kind of thinking, like when I added that circle, it's like, that's not what I pictured, right? I didn't want that circle to cover up everything. But you can easily just manipulate those layers however you need to. So if we do one last thing, we can just bold this here. Maybe we want to make that white too. Choose a different font for that. Maybe we want something
Look at all those
thick,
font options,
right?
Tim.
What's
That's
that?
a lot of fonts.
It's a lot of fonts, yeah. A lot of these, some of their fonts, they do have a good portion of their fonts that have this little crown, which means that they are pro, which means that you'll have to have that account to use them. But
Only $12 a month.
it's not
That's a
bad.
win.
It's not bad, even though it has that. That being said, though, there are plenty of options when it comes to the free fonts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say we want something that's kind of cursive-y. That's really hard to read when it's all caps. So that's what this button does. This button makes it all caps. So if I click on that again, it's going to make it lowercase. and the NIV is kind of hard to read. So what if we take that out for this one? And then you can just pull this right up here like we did earlier. Keep it on that pink line, right? When you move it, just wait until it snaps, and then you'll have that centered, and this also still looks pretty big. So we can do that, but then it's kind of like stuck together, right? So this is gonna be your spacing. You can take your line spacing, make the lines a little bit farther apart. And then you can take the background if you want to make the background a little bit see-through to make it have that. And then just drag this over, select everything, and then you can wait till it snaps there. There you go. So that's going to be a super simple way to do that. And then you'll be ready. Of course, there's a lot more you can do. But you can just play around with your tabs. Let's say that for some reason you've got your background selected. You can flip it if you want it to go a different way. You can use your adjustment to blur it a little bit. You can take out the saturation so it's black and white. There's all these kinds of things you can do. So I'm gonna let you guys play with that on your own time, but just so that you know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do just by playing with it.
So Lauren, from there, what's like the final step, whether we're on a bulletin or we're on a social media graphic, is how do I get that file
onto my computer?
So I can post it, or so I can print it.
Great question, you guys. So this looks really good, right? So I'm gonna first show you, there's a couple different ways. So really quick, I'm gonna show you, let's go back to our church bulletin. Let's say this is done and we spent all the time we wanted to spend. So you can print it with Canva. So you can go ahead and they'll tell you what kind of paper, how many copies, how much, single-sided, double-sided. You can just go ahead and print right here from Canva, which I think is super cool because that puts everything exactly where you want it. But let's say you don't want to do that. You want to print it at the church. You go to this little arrow that's got a line under it, click on that.
Wow.
Right from here. Any file type that is on this list, and it tells you which one is suggested. So based on the type of document that you're working with, the type of graphic, a multi-page document, PDF, which means that you can just send it to your printer and it can take each page, make it double-sided or whatever. So let's say you want a PDF. You want both pages. If you want to use this crop and you want it to bleed off the edge, you can add that if you want to. And then you can just go ahead and download, and you'll see it's going to be downloading right onto the computer. So I don't think you can see it quite in my browser, but it's downloading. There we go. So it downloaded. So you can't quite see it, but right at the very bottom of my screen, we've got the file in my browser. So that downloaded right to my downloads folder on my computer.
So cool.
That's great.
And just like that, you have yourself a bulletin or a social media post or a poster that you want to put up in your church somewhere, just like that.
So
Just like
easy.
that.
Man, so easy.
Thanks, Lauren. That was awesome. And thank you, everybody, for being here with us. I hope you learned something. I hope you're going to just kind of open your browser, head over to canva.com, download the Canva app, whatever you need to for your next steps as you begin to explore this tool.
But you know what we hope more for? That you would go on to our YouTube channel and subscribe and like at www.sec.adventist.org/DMSN subscribe.
That's right. You can find that link right down there in the description. So don't miss that. Additionally, if you have any questions, if you're like, oh, I got stuck here as you're opening Canva and you're like, well, I couldn't figure out the registration process. If you have any kind of questions, you can just comment underneath this video and we are gonna try and help you out. We want to be a network of people that support one another as we try and help digital ministry be a reality.
Good luck, friends, and have a great time learning how to do new things.